So I'm out here in the shop. I guess you can see the video is hydro coupler part 2. I'm out here and we've got it completely tore apart this time. The same shenanigans. Center's broke. This wore quite a bit more than what it was the first time. Found out. So we'll just start at the beginning. Machine breaks, I get it home, order the part, I call him, tell him what it is, the guy finds it, he's like, it's $900, there's a 60 to 75 day national back order. I'm like, oh, I don't remember it being $900 the first time I done it, it was like $200 or $300. So anyways, 2 weeks goes by. Another parts guy calls me, and apparently the first guy ordered the flywheel, not the flex plate. So luckily, that is less than $200, and they had it here in 2 days. So I bring the machine in and tear it apart, and then see the input shaft like that. And I was thinking about trading it in or selling it or whatever, but you can't get nothing out of it until you get it running, because them pumps are so expensive. And I was put a flywheel on it, or a coupler on it. And then, somebody in 100 hours is going to break again, and they're right back where I am. So I didn't really want to do that either. So anyway, so I tear it apart, get it out, and decide I'm just going to put a pump on it. Call, they tell me it's $3,200 for the pump. I got it right here. $3,200 for the pump, $1,800 for the core. And I was like, well, how much is the input shaft? And they said the input shaft was like $600. And then I figured the bearings, $400 or whatever, so $1,000. So at that time, it really wasn't worth $2,000 for me to tear this pump apart and try to replace it and then put it all back together and something not work. Because I thought this pump is considered all one piece. Like this shaft would run all the way through it and all the way to the back, because of the way it looks like it goes in there. And I was assuming, and that's what you should not do. So they ordered the pump. 2 days later, this was Friday. Today's Tuesday. So it comes in today. I go up there to pick it up. Well, that $3,200 buys you from here to here, this pump. So this is actually called piston pump, and this one's called the hydrostat pump. So refund my money on that. Well, the front pump is like $6,500 with a $3,000 core. And I'm like, you know what? Give me a breakdown of this pump and let's see how far the shaft goes. So then he gives me this breakdown. Hopefully you can see a bunch of this. So this is the snap ring, seal, spacer probably, I don't know what that is. Another seal, set of bearings, and then there's your input shaft. And then the input shaft runs through this first block, set of gaskets, another set of bearings. I forget what he calls this, but this may or may not have a clip in it, I'm hoping, and another set of bearings. So what I'm hoping is I can pull this snap ring out and this input shaft will slide out. Kind of like a camshaft or something, but I don't know. We're fixing to see. Worst case scenario, it's still going to be a core if I can't get it out of there. But the input shaft is $203, and the seal kit number 17 was 60 bucks, so $345. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this apart and see if I can get it. Now, the other reason I'm making this video is the whole reason this even started, because I was pretty disappointed in this whole plastic flywheel, not getting that many hours out of it. The first time I didn't have the bell housing off of it, right? So that parts guy that figured out that they sold me the wrong deal, I think he was a mechanic, because he knew exactly what I was talking about, and he kept saying, you got to take them 2 bolts out to get that pump out of there. You don't have to take them 12 bolts out of that bell housing. I'm like, I don't know what 2 bolts you're talking about. Well, you can't see them. They're right here. And by the time this is in here, you can't get even an extension on it This side you might be able to, but with all these hoses and everything on here, this side you can't for sure. Like there's no way. They make a special tool that slides down through here and it's got a closed in crow's foot on it. And these are torqued to 120 pounds, foot-pounds. And these right here are torqued to I think 50. And these are torqued to 50. I think it's like 45 plus 6 or whatever, so it's like, I torqued them at 50 and I used Loctite. Okay, so the whole reason this pump has been burning these flywheels out, or couplers, hydraulic couplers, is right here. When that bell housing from the factory went on here, you can see how it's all shiny right here. Okay, I don't know where it went. I threw it in the trash, I guess, but I got a picture of it. I'll try to load it on here. But anyways, the piece of that mud flap that goes in between this and the motor, when they did it from the factory, or if they had a pump problem, an issue, they pulled it, whatever happened, because it was a rental when I bought it from them, so Cat worked on it until I got it. It had been there that long, and you can see that it's pushed it about 1/8 of an inch out of square, and that's what was wearing these out. Because that's when the parts guy called me and said, you know, it was the wrong, that $900 was the flywheel, not the deal. When we was talking, I think he used to be a mechanic, because he was saying if you don't get them lined up, they won't last no time. And I was thinking, well, you know, maybe them bell housing bolts are loose. Maybe that's what the deal is, because you can't really see them. I didn't look at it. I parked it out back and didn't touch it because I knew the parts wasn't here. So when I took it apart, I made sure that, you know, there was nothing loose, so that wasn't the case. And a side note, if you do these, that's a press fit, a machine press fit bell housing that goes up in here. And I didn't catch it, but when that fell down last time and got dirt all in it, I didn't clean it out. And I like to never got these things apart this time. The first time, because I even went back and watched the video, because I don't remember it being that big of a problem. But this is the bottom, and it's got dirt in it. So this had dirt in it, and when I matched it up on there and tightened it up, I had a ratchet strap on the front, and then I brought the tractor in here and I had a ratchet strap on the motor trying to pull them apart. And then I had it's like a tire bead breakdown tool, and it's got like a 4-pound sledgehammer you slide back and forth. So I was putting that on the back of the block right here. Well, the paint's gone, and basically beating on it with a 4-pound hammer. And I did that for 20-30 times, and it finally cracked loose. So you definitely want to make sure that's clean. But also, if you're taking this apart and your coupler's bad, you need to try to, it's really hard to see when because this bell housing is like right here. When you pull the motor out, the bell housing is like flush back in here, so you really can't, because this is that piece of rubber that was stuck in there. So it's really hard to see where them 2 bolts go, to make sure that nothing is in between there, or them bolts are loose, because if them bolts are loose, it'll do the same thing. So that's super important. You know, I don't know if anybody's made any videos on this or not since I've made that one, but I'm going to try to link them together, because if I'd have known that before, I definitely would have checked that, and I would have caught it then. I wouldn't be doing this again, especially if all I got to do is snap this ring out, because the pump's not bad. You know, I mean, you're talking $6,000 for that pump. If I can get this input shaft out of her that easy, I mean, that's huge. That'd save you a lot of money. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my snap ring pliers, get all my tools out, and see how hard this comes out. Another interesting point is, if this does come out of here, you don't even have to take the pump out of the machine. As long as these bolts are tight and there's nothing in there, you could leave the pump in the machine, and you could do this with just taking the motor out. Because the other reason I want to make a video on this is I've had quite a few comments, people ask me questions about torque specs, and if I really thought it was easier to pull the motor than take this pump out. And yes, this pump is, I'm still not looking forward to putting it back in there. gotta go find another tool. So I got my tools here. Because them hoses are gonna be really hard to hook up. I'm not looking forward to trying to do that at all. And the other deal is you lose, I took a siphoning hose and siphoned out all the hydraulic oil that I could out of that tank, and I probably still lost 3 gallons, 4 gallons. Of course, you know it's just not gonna fall out of there. Oh, it's moving. Talking. Oh, there it is. I don't believe that. Oh boy. No way. I can't believe it. There you have it, folks. I was wondering about this bearing. It is pressed on there though. So I'll probably have to order a bearing. Maybe. I can get that off there. So I'll lay all this out and start it back over. Look like something that'd eat you. A largemouth bass with a funky set of teeth. I can't believe that fell out of there like that. I was afraid that was going to be a Timken bearing, but they're ball bearings. And I guess this machine, it's kind of hard to see it, but that little lip right there is what it all holds it in there. Man, that's tiny. Whatever you do, don't beat on that. Man, that's hard to hold all this at the same time. It rides on this right here. Maybe it bottoms out in there too. I really hope it does, but man, that is so small. All right, dodged a bullet. Like a $6,500 one. So this is it. So I'm not gonna take any of this apart until I get the rest of my seal kit. That way I put everything back together like it was. You know, it's real easy to look at now, but so this comes out, that's backwards, I think. How normally, like a wheel bearing seal, this would go out that way, but yeah. Or maybe this is part of the kit. So these are just roller bearings, and it's not even pressed on. It's got another clip. I was afraid this was going to be like a set of Timken bearings, and the race would be inside the pump, and for, you know, this whole thing wouldn't come out, and maybe this end was bigger and it wouldn't fit through there. But it looks like I dodged a serious bullet, because that's what that clip is right there. And I seen that. And so basically, yeah, so this whole thing is all going to be new. That kit, that $60 kit, I don't even have to drive nothing out. I get that, this, and no bearing, no clip. So I'll get all them pieces new for 60 bucks. So that's sweet. The bearing looks fine. I can't believe I don't have a race in there, because what would keep that from spinning? So anyways, I'll wait till the parts, they're supposed to overnight them. I should have them tomorrow. And then I'm going to put it back together and see if I notice anything else before I put this video out. But I'll put it all back together, bolt the bell housing up, get it mated up to the motor, and then stab it back in there. But one thing I did forget is that rubber mud flap deal it's in there. It is hard. It's a pain, and it has some bolts. Because the first time I did, I didn't see how they ever got it in and out of there, but that's how the factory does it. They undo them 2 bolts, the bell housing comes out with the motor, and that flap is in between the bell housing and the front of that pump. And I'm assuming they do it for heat and probably noise. Because this is one side of the bracket that I took off, and it goes right here, and it's literally a mud flap. That's all it is. It's a little old mud flap. 3/16, 1/8 inch, whatever it is. But if you don't have that special tool, you won't be putting it back in there, I promise you. Because it's just too many headaches. So we'll see if we get our parts tomorrow. And like I say, we dodged a bullet on this one. It's going to save me, if you bought the pump, it would cost $6,200 plus a $3,000 core. So the shaft and bearings is $345. Shaft's $200, the bearings $56. Oh well, I had to do the overnight charge. That was $60. So if you didn't have to do the overnight charge, it only cost you $250. So, but the machine's been down probably 3 weeks now, maybe a month. And if you don't know, you should check rental prices. I about fell over when this broke. I was out on a job. I had to rent a machine. It was like $650 for 1 day for a 289. I thought it was $200 or $300. So keep that in mind on your pricing and whatnot. That was a real eye opener for me. You know, you tell these people they want you to come out there and do a job. They want you to drive to their house, load the machine up, leave your house, go to theirs, unload it, work for 2 hours, and they expect to, a couple $100. Like, you know what? If go rent a machine, you go pick it up, take and you use it, and you know what I mean. And then you get to work on them on top of that. So, anyways, I'll get everything cleaned up, and when the parts come in tomorrow, I'll put it all back together, and we'll see how it goes. So I got my parts back. It's like 1 o'clock, 12:30, something like that. It looks like this is going to be just super easy. Hopefully. Probably the wrong size pliers. Oh, it is pressed on there. Now I wish I'd have bought the bearing. Well, it is pressed on there, so I'm gonna put it in a vise and see how tight it is. So this is a dull chisel. I got it in the vise. I'm gonna start off. I'm just barely hitting it, it's moving, so it's not a super tight tolerance. Usually 2 to 3 thousandths on a press fit. And it's coming right off. I should be able to use I might be able to use a socket or a punch. The splines are already messed up, so I'm just going to clamp it on there. This ain't going to matter. If I wasn't recording, I just put it on the table. It's just a little hammer. I'm not wailing on it. And I did mark the bearing with some paint, so I know kind of which way it goes back on here. Just like this. A little oil on it. That's probably not the best. I'll get a socket real quick and then put it back in there. All right, so I cleaned it up. It had it felt like I had a bad spot in it. There's a piece of trash. I thought I was gonna have to stop, but I cleaned out brake cleaner and blowed it out. And now it's fine. So either a piece of this fell down in there or something. This is an 1.5 inch deep socket. I don't know if it's going to go all the way before I hit the splines. Ooh, that's close. You can probably just, use a regular chisel. And you can tell when it's all the way down because of the way it vibrates the hammer back. There's something in there now. You can hear it. And feel it. Like a brake cleaner in your eye. There. So all the trash is out of it, we're good to go. I always want to make sure it's all the way in there. It'd be a pretty serious mistake. Big time oopsie. The original one's steel, this one's aluminum. I used a dial indicator and everything looks the same. Shorter, but this diameter here, because I give it an extra locking ring, but these are usually for threads. So anyways, we'll put it all back together. That's it. And I'll take a little hydraulic oil and put it around this O-ring and this seal and the inside. I don't get any easier than that. And you don't even have to have a real fancy player of snap ring pliers to do this job. So I will hand it to the designers on that one. I went looking at some skid steers today, and I don't know if I'm gonna keep this or what I'm gonna do. So I clean these bolts up, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run Loctite on there. I'm gonna put a wrench on it and beat on it with a 4-pound hammer. Because this right here is a 3/8 drive torque wrench, and you cannot get it on here. Right, so I'll go grab one of them cheap extensions, but I think you probably break it at 120 pounds anyways. So anyways, I'm gonna put some Loctite on there, match it up, and beat on it with a hammer, I guess. Sounds like a plan to me. And then use a wire wheel and already cleaned all this up really good. And then I'll do the same to this bell housing and inside there, and match it up, and I'll see how it balances with this hanging off the back of it, and then I'll probably be the end of this video because I've already basically just putting it back together. So we'll see what happens. So I got it stabbed in there. Me and my boy had him help me do it. It wasn't that bad. It's pretty balanced with the chain towards the exhaust. There's 2 picking eyes on that motor. It would have been easier if I'd have had the little crank screw thing that you can adjust it while you're using it, but you know, we're poor, so we just pick a link and go with it. Everything in here went back. It looks like these hoses aren't going to be that bad. The hardest thing to unhook is back there, and I left this line on there, but the rest of this should go get back together pretty easy. Like I say, them bolts and the bell housing right there's one of them. Like, you can get to this side, but by the time I get all this hooked up, you can't even see that one. So it's like 315, it's like 105 degrees. So I'm just gonna put this thing back together and hopefully get this video out tonight, maybe. We'll come back after I get it running. 3:45, 3:15 when I started. It took me 30 minutes. It's in here. All the lines are hooked up. The only thing I got left to do is some zip ties. I think that's it. Somebody was asking me if they thought it'd be easier to pull the pump out. I still don't, because the balance point is way back in here. On this pump, when we took it out, we put a chain like over in here. Can you see? Yeah, right there. So even if you had a cherry picker in here, you couldn't get it down far enough. You'd have to drag it back. I think you'd have a really hard time trying to stab it. I mean, if you wanted to manhandle it, I guess you could try. But there's all these hoses are just it's really in the way. But if you knew the pump was bad, I would probably pull it out this way and just build me before I pulled it, put some lumber or something under there and go that route. But that's it. So probably take me another hour, 2 hours to get everything else back in here and buttoned up. So get back to work. 5:30 and it's hot still. I got everything zip tied up. Take my mat out of here. Full of hydraulic oil. Motor's full of antifreeze. I left the top off because I'm gonna power wash it real good once I back it out of here. I haven't put the bolts in the sprocket yet because I'm by myself. I have to go in the house and get my son. Let's see if we can pick this cab up. Oh yeah. Let's see if it'll start. I think last time I done this, it didn't start because I forgot the ground. I didn't forget the ground this time. Oh, we got power. That's good. Come on, what are we doing? Nope, can't show you that. That's the good stuff. one solenoid. Maybe one of that yellow light, that's why it was flashing. Right there, right here. Okay. That's cool, it wouldn't even start. Oh, it tells it what to come on and off. Sweet. Now what? Oh. Starter relay. Starter switch. Yeah, it's gonna take me a minute to find that one. Those are a lot easier to hook up when their box ain't on there. Ooh. Okay, third time's a charm. Here we go. Let's see what it does this time. Hopefully nothing's spraying. Contact. Oh, she's growling. Fans running. That sucked the bottom out of that hydraulic oil. Well, it's alive. I don't see no leaks, but I'm going to top it off because I don't know, it's below the red, so we'll see how much more it needs. It's still below red. Only had a gallon. Yeah, it's low. I can hear it growling. So, anyways, it's working. I got to load the dozer up and go do the job tomorrow, so I'll send my wife to get some hydraulic oil, top it off tomorrow, and then probably take it for a spin. But I want to call this video a wrap. It's got 2,500 hours on it right now. I looked back a year ago. I think it had, let me check that real quick. So it had, come on, what did I just say, 2,500? Dum 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 dum. 2,583. And it was almost exactly a year ago. So I'll look and see where my oil changes was a year ago. So the last time I changed oil was 10/22. It had 2487 hours. So I think that video I made was almost a year ago. So it had maybe 2,200, maybe. So I got maybe 300 hours out of that flywheel with it being that bad. So anyways, hopefully this video helps you out. I'm gonna give me some more hydraulic oil, finish it up tomorrow, and go brush hogging and give it a test run around here. But it should be good to go for another 1,500, 2,000 hours. I don't think I'll ever have any problems out of it. It's a good thing because them new cats are like 96,000. So we'll try to get some more hours out of them. Good luck.